Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining me on this wonderful journey called life. I hope you're all doing well and striving and thriving towards your goals, living in your greatness, living in your truth, and becoming all that you know you can become. So today I'm going to be doing a segment on how I became to terms with a certain trait that I know we all have elements of. By recognizing the root of my self-sabotaging ways, I've been able to gently work with myself and work towards my goals, knowing the correct actions to take to ensure that certain outcomes are met without sabotaging on the down low. So I've always considered myself a glass half full type of girl, and always would console myself with words of encouragement when things didn't go my way. Things like, it wasn't in the divine plan, or it wasn't for my high good, or what's meant for me would never pass me. That kind of thing. But when things happened, when I know the outcome should have been easy or easily acquired, or I feel like I've done enough for the said thing to materialize in my word, and it doesn't, I think to myself, I know that sneaky bugger is at it again. Self-sabotaging involves behaviours that keep you away from the things you want in your life. It's that internal sentiment that sort of gnaws at you and says things like, oh, you can't do this, you can't get that, you can't have that. It's not exclusive to anyone in particular. It's a general coping mechanism we tend to go to when we're feeling overwhelmed, anxious, or not sure about a particular situation. Or we develop really unhealthy ways to deal with the stress. Often self-destructive habits are rooted in our feelings of self-worth. We don't feel we deserve to be successful, or we might be plagued with feelings of inadequacy, even when we're setting ourselves major goals to try and overcompensate, when deep down we might not be convinced that we can actually achieve them. Some of us may even use self-sabotage as a twisted form of controlling our own fate, or to delay, that deep-seated fear of success that we might not want to acknowledge. These beliefs and behaviours may not even be conscious. It most definitely wasn't in my case, so I thought. In my conscious vibration, I thought my life was destined for wonderful things. I was always going to see my greatness. I believe everyone is living in their world, and we're all the architect of our worlds, all of us. Therefore, whatever outcome we choose, we are all capable of achieving. This belief was so ingrained in me and in my identity, so much so that if anyone opposed this viewpoint, I'd add them to a list of people I had to prove wrong. But that kept me going. It kept me on my toes and on a mission to prove myself right. It really wasn't for anyone else. I just needed to feel justified in my steadfast ways, and when I set myself a goal, and how I just I'm with a dog with a bone. But some of my actions and my inactions were both reflecting in my world and really affecting how things turned out. When you don't take a step back and really create some awareness of what's actually manifesting in your world and just go into autopilot, you're not actually being a creative architect of your world. You're just going with the flow. But we all have to take a step back and really question, why is that not happening, or why is this not happening? More than likely, on a subconscious level, either our opinion on that particular thing has changed, or we're self-sabotaging. It's better to be at the helm of your mistakes and misfortune then just let other things and unknown circumstances blindside you. Therefore, you've got to try and be truthful with yourself as much as you can be, and work on acknowledging what is making you self-sabotage yourself. I mean, for instance, if you're often starting jobs and ending them just as quickly, you maybe need to go and think to yourself, okay, what's causing it? Is it one thing or is it another? Are you arriving late all the time and not putting your all into it, and then eventually you keep being asked to leave? You might ask yourself, why does this keep happening? That's the time to sit with yourself and to really ask yourself, does your true desires really lay there, or are they elsewhere? What you might not have let come to the forefront of your consciousness is your true desire to be something else. Maybe self-employed, an entrepreneur, millionaire, travel the world, anything, who knows? Therefore, you self-sabotage any progress that you can potentially make in an area that you don't truly desire, but yet are not willing to go within and see that you have options elsewhere. It takes serious self-reflection to really understand why you keep shooting yourself in the foot in the first place. Taking time to really peel back the issues and see why you're inflicting this on yourself really brings you to an awareness about who you are and all your underlying motivations and desires and what you actually want. I mean, the most successful people are the ones that really do take the time to think through their choices and their decisions and to really set plans and goals. They really learn from what has worked, what hasn't worked, and then adjust their course of action and take in a different approach. Only through self-awareness, self-reflection can you get that perspective and that understanding that the process of change is a conscious thing and it requires effort. Fear is often at the root of what holds us back. We fear that our inner critical voice is right. We start to worry and start to think, maybe I don't deserve to get this. I don't deserve happiness. And what people might say about us are true, even if there's no solid evidence. We might start to doubt our strength and whether we can actually achieve what we want to achieve. Do we have it in us? We have to put aside those harsh inner voices. The ones that say, oh, you can't, or you're a failure. That negative internal dialogue is a pattern of self-limiting thoughts. Start replacing that critical voice with positive encouragement. Whenever you're feeling, a bit like you're going to fall back into the process. It's self-betrayal. You're betraying that self that knows that you're strong, amazing, wonderful, and very capable of whatever you're trying to achieve. Once you start to see the errors and the ways you're limiting yourself, you can start effectively changing that behaviour. You can choose not to engage, basically, because it's self-sabotage, and start to build positive actions, such as countering those negative dialogues and thoughts with positive ones, positive affirmations. For instance, I don't think I can do this. I'm a bit not sure about this. Change it with affirmations such as, of course I can do this, the world is my oyster, I can do anything I want, I'm more than capable of achieving this, it's mine, that kind of thing. Changing our negative routines is fundamental if we are to stop sabotaging ourselves. It's not the most easier thing, but I know we can all do it. By taking actions, it will move us towards the person we want to be, the life we want to have, and all the achievements that we are more than capable of having. The behaviours that we keep permitting ourselves to do are the ones that are basically keeping us away from what we most desire. I really had to look at that. I had to really look at my life, and I concluded that I was allowing patterns that weren't necessarily for my high good to take centre stage. These patterns weren't always coming from me, however, so that's also another thing you have to be aware of. Who's keeping you and what is keeping you in these patterns? But the fact that I kept allowing them to stay in my life and still take centre stage meant I was compliant in some shape or fashion. First, you have to start learning to make change by avoiding certain triggers, challenging situations, the things that cause us to react in unfavourable ways or do things that are not necessarily favourable. I mean, if there's a stressful situation that triggers you to act in a negative way, look at ways how you can bypass the effect and the person while you learn new ways to deal with the situation. For instance, if you have a family member that keeps drawing you back to that past version of yourself and doesn't seem to want to recognize any growth that you've gone and undergone or that you're a different person, maybe physically remove yourself from interacting with them for a period, without the fear of, what they're going to think. Do it honestly, and if needs be, verbally explain why you're drawing your energy back. Let them know, so, it's your energy, it's your choice. Let them know you're taking it back for X, Y, Z. This will give them a chance to really reflect on their actions and how they've contributed towards your decision. And of course, if they don't take any responsibility and just, are in denial and don't take any ownership, you just have to do what you have to do, and it's quite proof that you're making the right choice to move away from that situation. We often struggle with self-sabotaging behaviour when we're entering into new phases in our life or new experiences, and obviously the unknown gives us a little bit of anxiety and make us feel a bit off kilter and unsure of ourselves. So those are the times when you really have to adopt these skills. It happens to most people. It happened to me. It happened to me even recently when I closed my brand and decided to go on a new path of self-discovery. I kept putting deadlines back. Something will come on and create some major upheaval, and then I'll prioritize that instead of the goal I was trying to achieve. A friend of mine that was helping me to actually get to where I wanted to was always saying, have you done X, Y, Z? And I'll be like, no, because this happened and it threw me off, and by recognizing that this is also part of my self-sabotaging ways, and just to sort of draw myself back to where I wanted to go, it helped me to keep my focus. I could let whatever, or we could let whatever come in take us off our path and keep us off our path. But once you start to recognize, oh no, that's just a distraction, I don't have to get involved, let it pass, because everything passes, and just keep your focus point. Know when to say enough already. Know when to acknowledge you are fundamentally responsible for whatever you do, what you want to create, and how you show up in the world. You can't offload that to anybody else. It's nobody else's responsibility, not even your beliefs. You can change your beliefs whenever you want. You can change your beliefs whenever you want, even when the subconscious mind wants to keep you back as that same person, keep you safe, and keeps introducing old ways and old belief systems. All the things that you no longer even resonate with. I know it's the purpose to just keep us safe, but you have to do a scepter like I do and say, that's not me. Whenever those thoughts or beliefs come and try to resurface, I laugh and I say, that's not me. It's just a joke. Don't take it seriously. It just takes the seriousness out of it for me anyway. Once you've identified the changes you want to make, just choose one. Try one at a time. Don't try and do any sweeping massive changes all at once, because it's not realistic and it's near enough impossible. The huge alterations that you'll be making will be really difficult to maintain, and you'll easily give up and just think, and go back to who you are before. Start with small changes, very small ones, the ones that you'll be able to see transformation and maintain and be able to see quite quickly. Say, for instance, if you're sabotaging your success, missing deadlines, not following through with leads, being disorganized, take a step back and look for one small thing, one meaningful change that can actually set you on a more successful course, or maybe something that will bring it all together. It's all done in small, really small increments. I've really seen it. I've tried the big way. I've tried to do loads of changes really quickly, and of course it's not feasible. If you're disorganized and easily distracted and going off track, take 5 minutes every morning to tidy your desk, write a to-do list. If you're missing deadlines, maybe you need to look at the timelines you set yourself and create reasonable, achievable timelines. Then, step by step, you'll be making progress and seeing how you're making the correct steps to the destination you want. It isn't a weakness, and we shouldn't view it that way unless you allow it to be a weakness. Instead of moving forward with confidence, we'll respond to situations in a negative way and we'll allow ourselves to crumble and then retreat and not do the thing that we want to achieve. Feel a bit incompetent and think, I was right, I couldn't achieve it. That's just an old way of being. That's a behaviour that we've always gone back to when we feel a bit vulnerable. There has to be a new way of thinking and a new position you take. Give yourself some kind words, some gentle reassurance and hugging words, and say to yourself, I know what you're doing. It's okay. I see you. But remind yourself that you want this, and that it really would mean a lot to you if you achieved it. So you decide who wins. Is it that thought that you used to hold that says, no, I can't do this, I'm not capable, I'm not that person? Or do you just say, actually, that's not me. That's not me. I know which one I've been choosing, and it's working. The best way to counter this is to lay down some real solid plans and goals for the future by having really firm, thoughtful targets. Each step of the way, you should know clearly where you're going and how you're going to achieve it. It'll help you to feel a lot better about your intentions, and it doesn't have to be done in a advanced way. You can do it just daily. That's what I do, maybe the night before or something, or maybe the week before. Thinking through how you're going to respond to a situation, people, circumstances, when things that you unexpectedly arrive, can also help the situation and help how you respond to particular things. Knowing how you will respond will help you to maneuver obstacles at a quicker pace, and therefore keep the momentum going. By doing all of this, you can take control of your life and banish all that self-sabotaging behaviour once and for all. Well, not once and for all, but get a better handle on it and know when it's bloody coming up and when you're doing it. Okay, so I'm done with that one. I hope it's useful. I really am on a mission to recognise all my self-sabotaging ways. I hope it helps you to find yours. And if you like it, share, subscribe, And of course, come back for more of my insights. Namaste.